Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Random. It's your host, Smallwood Worldwide. We are back again with another video, and today we're here with our Takeoff Sports Talk episode, as is evident by the Goodman brothers. Show some love for T, Hodge, and Greg, and I'm your host, Smallwood Worldwide. Today we're going to bring you our watch episode, and what better way than to start with the firing of Robert Saleh. Now, listen, it's not glorious, right? It's never a great time to lose your job, but especially when you got a star quarterback that comes to town and kind of unceremoniously puts you out. So, Robert Saleh's firing, that happened in the middle of the night, that was allegedly thought about for a couple of years. What do we think about his firing? Aj, I'm going to start with you.
Wow. Peaches and gravy, Marie. I think let's see here. Ooh. Um obviously racist. I think that no, I was playing. Like obviously racial. They didn't like him, Muslim. No. No.
Maybe the patch? No, I don't know. Yeah.
It could be, could be. It's obviously they were jealous he was stronger. No. I think honestly that this has everything to do with Aaron Rodgers. Everything. Everything to do with Aaron Rodgers. The whole thing is Aaron Rodgers top to bottom. I think that the Jets came in with unexpectedly high expectations, which I thought was just ridiculous.
Hmm.
They get overhyped because they're in the New York market. And the Jets have never been good. They've been a trash franchise forever. Even when Joe Namath was shaking the legendary finger when it was in slow motion running back with the NFL films thing going on, they were trash even then. They weren't supposed to win that one. They lucked up
Yep.
and um, I think that this all has to do with Aaron Rodgers and the power that he had over the franchise and over Woody Johnson. I think his last name is Johnson, right?
Yep. That's him.
Yeah, I don't really follow trash people, but I think that he's a bad owner. He's a not necessarily. I don't know him, of course, but he's not. He doesn't seem like a very nice guy. He's a supporter of people that I don't support. I'll just leave it at that. Put the town on the
I
alert.
know too many nice guys who get allegations of racism on multiple occasions.
Hey man, I'm just here to report the
Ah.
news. So anyway, long story short, I just think that it was a power grab by Aaron Rodgers, and I think that he
Yeah.
wants his guys in there, and he doesn't want Robert Saleh there because he wasn't one of his guys originally, and he tried to work around it. And that's the long and short of it. Long story short, we're short another coach of color or of difference in the NFL, and that's probably not going to change. And they'll probably replace him with someone who's the equivalent of the coach version of the Peterman. So we'll
You mean Nathaniel Hackett, who didn't lose his job, who's the
yeah,
offensive coordinator? There we go.
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
And their offense has been abysmal, and they're basically just saying we're going to ride with this 41-year-old conspiracy theorist quarterback who used to be one of the best we've ever seen, and then turned into the weirdo. So that's my take on the whole situation.
I'm gonna jump in real quick before I throw it to T. So here's my take on it, right? Number one, Aaron Rodgers has been washed a long time, right? He's been to one Super Bowl. One.
I'm not
No,
gonna I'm not gonna
he's
do
not.
that.
No. He's been to one Super Bowl. The way they judge quarterbacks
Two Super
today is
Bowls.
on Super Bowl. He's
He's
been
been
to
to,
one.
he's won
Aaron
one.
Rod-
He's
he's only
been
been to one. Aaron Rodgers only been to one.
no, they lost to Pittsburgh.
No, they beat Pittsburgh
Yeah, they beat Pittsburgh.
31-25.
But
That's the
didn't
only
they
one he
lose? I
went
thought
to.
they lost another
They
one.
won.
Ooh. You know what? I might have them confused with. I might have this. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the other guy's been to two Super Bowls that they dog all the time.
Right.
Russell Wilson, he's been to two. Should have won back to back, but Pete Carroll decided to make the worst call in history. But neither here nor there. Aaron Rodgers has not really elevated a franchise in quite some time. In fact, he held the Green Bay Packers hostage. How do you think Mike McCarthy ended up where he's at in Dallas? There we go. Right, because McCarthy's actually a winning head coach, as is proven against his will in Dallas with Jerry Jones. But Robert Saleh's firing, I don't like it because here's the thing. He's a defensive head coach. Is the defense good? Yes, the defense is really good. But here's the problem. They're giving that credit to the defensive coordinator, not the defensive minded head coach, which is a bit bizarre. Now, the offense, which is struggling with the quarterback who didn't show up to training camp, right? Who was seen arguing with several of his teammates and players who kind of wished he was there. One of them blurted it out, if you could read lips on camera with that. And also, who was not too shy about his basically, this is not my guy as head coach. So he did everything he could pretty much in the same form that old buddy in Denver did, right? As head coach right there, just throwing these tantrums on the sidelines. You can't show up your coach, right? Because then the other players, they know you're Aaron Rodgers. They know that you're a great and an all-time great. So they're kind of like, well, if he doesn't respect him, what do I need to do, right? So I just think it was a unwinnable situation. It was poor leadership on Aaron Rodgers' behalf. And I think that Woody Johnson, opinion based here, one of the worst owners in NFL history, based on his associations, his moves. Even he's talking about this is one of the best teams he had in the last 25 years. And I'm like, I think the Rex Ryan years might have something to say with that, with the back-to-back AFC title games. Like they were good. And it took a Belichick to stop him from getting over the hump. But I don't understand the firing in terms of the timing that it came with, because if you thought about this for years, you could have done that. But I digress. I'm gonna throw it to T and let G take us home on this topic.
All right. Well, you know, I don't disagree with anything that's been said so far. I will say that in Robert Saleh's case, I think they did him a favor. Being there on the Jets, you guys have said it, the place is not really run well. And he would have been under just immense scrutiny the entire year. He would have gotten blamed for everything. So I think as far as him personally, it's not a bad thing that he was fired. I mean, nobody wants to be fired, but you get what I'm saying. Um,
Yeah.
the one smart thing that they did was they had security escort him out because, the health of Aaron Rodgers is important. And I think if he wasn't escorted out, he might have rocked Aaron on the way out just to give him a little bit of what Aaron shoved him or whatever. You give him some love on the chin on the way out. So they needed to protect his health. Um, they said that what the owner thought about doing this for the last couple of years.
Yeah, yeah. He said it himself. He thought
only
about it
been
for
there
the
like
last few
3 years,
years.
right? He's only been there
Yeah,
3 years.
Yeah,
yeah. Not enough time to build. Not with the Jets. He didn't
yeah.
come into like a juggernaut team.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But I do think he might be telling the truth about thinking about it because he's obviously not very good at what he does. So um, if he says that he was doing something dumb, I believe him. And that thing about him talking with Aaron Rodgers, like the night of the Robert Saleh's firing, but it never came up. I was like, huh? It didn't come up.
Hey,
I mean,
listen.
But they was talking about other stuff, TJ. Like rats in the city. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Hype
apparently so.
soccer, whatever it is that Aaron Rodgers
Apparently
wanted to do.
so.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Shohei Ohtani, how's his playoff run going?
there's a
Hey,
lot
did you see
going
that
on.
new Matrix movie? Like, come on.
Unbelievable. I mean, wow.
I mean, can you guys imagine if that's true? Then that means he didn't want to hear Aaron Rodgers' thoughts about the whole thing, which is, that's a recipe for absolute disaster if that was the case. And if
Yep.
it's not true, it's like, well, what are you doing? I mean, why are you overprotecting Aaron? Everybody already knows he's the number one priority in that entire franchise. Everybody knows you're not fooling
Hmm.
anybody. So I didn't really get why he bothered to say something that's stupid, but you know, like you guys said, it's the Jets.
Yep.
Jets.
G, what you got for us?
Man, y'all pretty much covered everything. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the Shooter McGavin of football. He's a very talented douche, and more than likely, this is got his fingerprints all over it. The reason why that man got fired. I mean, even if the owner was thinking about it for the last 2 or some odd years, I mean, if he was thinking about it, he would have done it when probably the year before when Aaron got hurt. That would have been the time to do it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you mean last year when he went 4 snaps and that was it?
Yeah,
His biggest highlight was carrying the flag out on the field. That was it.
I loved it. It was so funny.
I said if you were gonna fire that coach, that would have been the time to do it.
Yeah.
That would at least protect your franchise quarterback and not have him mixed up in all this controversy as if he doesn't have enough controversy surrounded around him already. So yeah, the
Craziest
Jets.
part is he goes on Pat McAfee's show to be like, I didn't know anything about this. Really?
Yeah,
Come
sure.
on.
You
Come on.
still smell the ayahuasca
Come
on your
on.
breath.
What's crazy to me though on this same topic is that Robert Saleh's firing brings to mind for me if I'm an owner, right? And I love to play the imaginary game of being an owner of a sports team because I love sports that much. Like if I'm gonna hire Greg as my head coach, Why am I hiring you just for 2 or 3 years? It takes a long time to establish culture, turn a team around, build out your vision, all these different things. And you're firing coaches literally that have not had enough time to establish much of anything, you
He's
know?
been
Well,
thinking about
It's
firing him
just
for a couple of years, and he's only
yeah.
been
you
there
just
for 3 years, which that
this,
you were thinking about firing him after the first year before you had a quarterback in the year with the kid with the other year. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
the Cougar Slayer. That's what they was talking
Listen,
about. I was like, come on.
that all depends on the situation that the team is in when you hire the coach. Now, in the situation for the Jets, he should have been able to stick around for at least 5.
Hmm.
At least 5 solid years. You need at least 5 good years to get that, to at least start getting that train to
Well,
go the other way.
it's
And
not
you
college.
saw they
It's not
got talent.
college. It's not college, right? Where you need to draft in a whole new thing. But
Right.
I get where people would be like, um, he needed more time because it was the Jets, man. It's the
The
Jets.
Jets stunk. They just got Sauce Gardner and
Bad.
the other kid on offense. Like, and to even get them, do you know what you had to do to get 2 number 1 picks like that? You had to
Yeah.
stink. That
And
means you
like
were terrible.
it would be different if he had Aaron Rodgers for his whole stint there and they were still stinking it up.
Exactly.
Then,
Exactly.
2 or 3 years with the Hall of Fame quarterback. Okay, fair enough. You're not working. Get him out of here. But to have,
Yeah.
who was there before? Zach Wilson
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
your guy?
Yeah.
And like,
Sam Darnold. They had Sam Darnold as well, and the
oh
other.
yeah, Sam Darnold. And well, Sam
Yeah.
Darnold looks amazing this year. So
Don't fall into the
The,
trap.
the Vikings defense looks amazing thanks to
Yeah,
Brian Flores, but
he's not
that's
Geno Smith. You see what I'm saying? Like you got to understand.
I'm not saying the defense isn't doing that thing. I'm saying he looks way better than he should. Like
He
no
looks
one. He looks like
he doesn't play for the Jets. That's what he
yeah.
looks.
He looks at exactly. He looks like he doesn't pay for the Jets.
Yeah.
yeah, they
Sam
got a
Darnold,
good receiving core there too.
Yeah, that's really what
great
it
receiving
is.
core, an amazing receiving core.
And look at how he looks, right? I'm
Yep.
sorry, you know you're gonna get this work. Kirk Cousins. He was the missing piece when they got rid of my man that was 13
Hey
and 3
man.
and took him to the NFC title game, right?
Hey
Look
man.
at the same receivers. Same receivers. They didn't go 5-0. They were like 7-9 and
Hey,
1.
Kirk McGirt, man. Kirk McGirt does what he can, man. Kirk Kinfolk doing what he can, man. He out here dealing, man.
Sam Donald walked out there and was like,
500.
wait, you got this guy and this guy? Oh, I'm slinging this thing all over the place. Get it to
Yeah.
everybody.
Kirk
It's
Cousins,
hilarious.
greatest agent in sports history. I don't know who his representation is, but by God,
Tip of the
he's
cap
That's
to
the
gonna
most
him, my
amazing
friend.
10%,
he might
20% of a
as hell LeBron James. He might make it out a billionaire. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what backdoor dealings he's got, but my goodness.
He's a legend. He's a legend at PNC.
Hey,
He's a legend at PNC. That's all he needs to play.
I got that man's picture up. They ain't never seen.
Go in the Citibank. In the city, they retired his jersey at Citibank. You know, that's all I care about.
They got his jersey. It's like they need the American flag out for.
Well, listen, we wish Robert Saleh all the best going forward. I think to T's point, they did you a favor. Hopefully you'll land with a winner and continue winning like you did before you became a Jet head coach. So with that being said, getting fired, right? It's not unique to Robert Saleh. Happens to a lot of head coaches, MLB, NHL, NBA. What are your top 3 worst firings ever of all time across any sport?
You know,
And
I'll go first because I've only got one.
let's go.
3.
Go
This
for it.
starts and ends with Jimmy Johnson and the Cowboys. That is the worst firing I've ever seen of any coach in my entire life.
That's right.
Had that man stayed and Eagles not gotten involved, they would have been the Patriots. They could have ran off at least 6 with that man at the helm and those players.
I don't think that.
At least 6.
The you.
I don't think that.
That's my guy.
They ran off 6 and probably had gotten 3 in a row.
Yeah, they won 3 in 4 years. And that skip year was probably because he just got fired.
But Barry Switzer.
Yep.
Because he wasn't there that year. If he's there, 3 in a row, maybe 4. It is the worst firing I've ever seen in any sport ever in my life. That one, you know what? I do got another one, but it's not exactly That's exactly a firing.
Don't.
Hey,
Recorded in progress.
Phil Jackson with the Bulls was also one, but I don't know if that's technically a fire.
That's not bad.
It's not
It's
because Phil kind of quit.
but no, they were gonna get rid of him. They were getting rid of him.
He said, "You're fired." He said, "No, I quit."
But that's why that was not on my list. It's like an honorable mention because I don't know the whole situation. Even though when I watched The Last Dance, they're like, "You're gonna get fired," and he was like, "Well, I'll quit." And Mike was like, "Well, if he goes, then I'll go." And they're like, "Hey, Phil, you want to come back?" And he's like, "Nah, nigga, I'm good." So,
ridiculous. Hey, if you let him talk, he's gonna come up with more stuff. I want to go.
Jump in there.
Yeah. So I got some outside looking in. You know what I mean? Got some
Always
outside looking in. This one is a weird one because it turned out to be a good firing overall, but it was a bad firing for a long time, and that is Mark Jackson with the Golden State Warriors. He did that team turned it completely around, put the town on alert. Steve Kerr did take it over the top, but I mean, like even as recent as the Olympics, Steve Kerr's coaching is come into question. So, not by me, to mind you, but I've talked to some other people who did not like it. That's an outside looking in. Another outside looking in is Larry Brown with the Clippers. Clippers is just a terribly run organization. They were finally making headway when he had first got there, and of course, they fired him. So, because I mean, you know, what has Magic Johnson ever done? You know what I mean? Got AIDS, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta wait for it. My last outside looking in is Lovie Smith when he had the Bears.
Yeah.
I believe when he got fired, he was 10-6, and the only reason why he didn't make the playoffs because there was a bunch of teams that were 10-6 for whatever reason that year. He happened to lose a play-in game. So that brings me down to my top. Go ahead.
I was saying he had just gone to a Super Bowl too, like not too long before that.
He did.
Not too long ago.
Like 2 years before that, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, and he popped up looking like he popped up at the University of Illinois looking like a black Santa Claus.
He also screwed them out of their draft picks, so I love that right there. Remember in his firing? Yeah, he was like, "We're gonna score."
That was awesome. The culture
with Jameis Winston.
So my top 3, I start off with Jim Caldwell for the Lions, which again he got fired for Matt Patricia, who was trash. He might be the most trash firing. They went from 11-5 to Matt Patricia. So I just I don't even. They went from 11-5 to Matt Patricia. My number 2 is Ann Wolfe from boxing when she was she used to train. What's his name? The Mandingo. When he got whooped up on by
Kirkland.
Kirkland, yes. Was it Frank Kirkland? I forgot. Maybe I'm mixing up genres. But Kirkland was the guy's name. He was a absolute warrior. Matter of fact, his nickname was Mandingo Warrior. When Ann Wolfe had him, she had whipped him into all kinds of shit, man. He was a monster when she was with him.
Monster.
Yeah. And then he left her and he went and fought that Canelo fight, biggest fight of his career. James Kirkland.
I was about to pull it up there, yeah.
James Kirkland's his name. And he's the biggest fight of his career, of course, against Canelo. He could have made it into a blockbuster. Instead, it was one of the most devastating 3-round knockouts you'll ever see in your life. It was
that fight.
Yeah, it was Canelo. It was one of Canelo's. It was one of Canelo's masterpieces. It became one of his masterpieces, and it was all because he got rid of Ann Wolfe right before the fight. And
I would have won, but it would have been a closer fight with her in the corner.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying he would have made a lot. He would have made a lot of money.
Would have made a better fight.
I believe that he would have fought himself into bigger purses. I think I haven't heard of him since then. I'll put it that way. Anyway, the last one at the number 1 spot, as my man says on the internet, I got Tony Dungy's firing of the Bucks. For people who are not that old, you gotta understand how terrible the Bucks were.
Yeah,
the Bucks, or as I grew up knowing them, the Yucks, were losers. Like in every sense, they were literally the worst team I think in franchise in teams of teams, they were like the worst team. When people said
not NFL, in sports.
In sports, yeah. When people said losers, there was 3 teams that used to come up as losers. There was the Clippers. There was who else was that? Where it's like there were teams for losing, huh?
The Red Sox.
The Red Sox were also synonymous with losing.
And the Red Sox.
Well, the Cubs. It was the Cubs probably.
The Cubs were definitely.
Probably the Cubs.
The Red Sox were janky. The Cubs were losers. So yeah, the Cubs.
Give or take. And then the last one was the Buccaneers. They were so bad, they hired a black coach when it wasn't popular, when it wasn't a thing to do. That's how bad they were. They were like, how bad could it be? And he turned these losers around, and they ended up having like 6 consecutive seasons of a winning record, which to this day is mind-boggling. I don't think the Bucks could ever do that shit. And then, you know, because of Warren Sapp opening his big mouth, you know what I'm saying, his big trap, you know, he ended up getting him.
He's a bum, yo.
Chill,
great player.
Yo, don't talk about
a great player.
Anyway, so like, once we reverse, yo, don't talk about Sapp that way. Chill, man. You know, but you know, I mean, it was a whole culture change. They changed the uniforms.
Yep.
Although, don't get me wrong, I love their old uniforms. Those are the coldest.
Oh, the creamsicles. Yeah.
Oh man, those are the coldest uniforms in history. But you know, next to the Oilers uniforms. But you know,
the powder bleach.
I digress. They were loser seats, as Bomani Jones calls them. They were loser seats because them dudes lost all the time in them joints. Like they couldn't buy it. They couldn't buy a win. And then he came in there and he changed the whole franchise around. And they fired him and they let John, that racist, weirdo,
John Gruden,
piece of crap. They let him come in. You know what it was? It was the Obama presidency and the Trump. That's what it was. That's what it was. That's the equivalent.
That's the football equivalent of that. Yes, it was.
Bam. And then look at the economy I bought. You know, that's not,
You're gonna get tired of winning. You're gonna get tired of winning.
Can't win anything. Can't win a thing since then. But he got all the money and all the props afterwards. That's the best equivalent.
And they kept paying him. They kept paying him.
Bum John Gruden rode that so hard that he got his brother a job. He's the original. What's his name? Antetokounmpo brother. What's his name?
Nah, I'm not sure, guys. Relax, guys. And yo, I will say,
you know what? I'll say Thanasis is better than Gruden's brother. Gruden's brother is the worst coach I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. But I will say, John Gruden did do a decent job at the Raiders and got tuck ruled. But you know, I digress from all that. That long story short, he took that team. It was basically the same team, and you know, he won with it. I think he added Brad Johnson, and that's about it. Like other than that, that's it, man. And I think Keyshawn Johnson. That's it.
Keyshawn came, but I mean, at the end of the day, the team had 4 playoff appearances in 5 years that they hadn't had in a long time, right?
I've talked too much, but yeah, they ended up winning a lot. Them dudes won probably more in the season than they had won in the 10 seasons prior to with him. And he had cats like Sean King and Trent Dilfer and Gator Belts and Patty Melts and Monte Carlos and other autos. But I mean, like it was bad.
Yeah.
Firing Tony Dungy.
Bums.
Wolves and not.
Still carrying them. Yeah. Team full of garbage pail kids.
Wow. Yo, T, what you got for us?
Trash. Sorry.
Yeah, my top 3 has already been mentioned. I guess I'll throw a couple more out just because, you know, stuff that kind of stuck with me. When they fired Avery Johnson from the Mavericks, I thought that was
a cold one.
I didn't really.
That was cold.
I didn't like that.
Avery Johnson. Yeah, they should.
Yeah. I didn't fully understand the Monty Williams thing either at Phoenix. I didn't really get that, but you know, because I'm like, you got rid of him for what? I mean, for what? I guess.
I think the players like didn't fully get along with him, but he was winning, so I don't know.
But they got rid of those guys.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they sure did.
You know, I just didn't understand it, right? And then my top 3 are all from football, and I think part of that is because, like in basketball, the stars they carry a lot of weight and they can kind of keep their coaches if they want them. But in football, you know, the owner is just they just intervene all the time and get rid of people for no reason. My number 3 was the Lovie Smith one. That I hated that firing. I hated it.
Yeah.
I mean, would you say they were 10-6?
Yeah.
I think he had Cutler as his quarterback. Now I'm not here to dog Jay Cutler or anything, but he's probably like a
Yeah.
mediocre
Jay
quarterback.
Cutler dogs himself as a bum.
I mean, I'm not gonna go as far as calling him a bum, but 10-6 is overachieving when Jay Cutler's your quarterback.
Thank you.
That bum.
He
All
didn't win a number. Bum like Tennessee. He's wearing a
Yeah,
bum's uniform.
yeah, he's dressed as a bum. I'll give him that.
Loser
But,
suits.
but you know, they've been bad
Cosplay.
since.
They
Right?
have been. They've been terrible.
They've been bad ever since up until maybe this year if Caleb Williams continues to ascend, maybe. But they've been bad ever since. They
If
were
they don't get him an
one
offensive line, he gonna be on the sideline.
I don't blame the offensive line for that
Yeah.
fingernail painting bastards bad throws. I don't blame him for that.
He's running for his life, yo. Come on, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
I've seen you running for your life, and that ain't it. You understand?
But you know, at least they have hope again. They haven't really had
Yeah.
hope for a while.
It's a bad
sure.
take on my part.
And,
No, they've had it. They just ain't done shit with it.
Nah, they ain't had no hope.
maybe make an argument. For that. Maybe had, Khalil Mack, and maybe you can make an argument for that.
Yeah, when
I
Khalil
wouldn't.
Mack,
But,
they had it when Urlacher was.
Khalil Mack was that dude.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make that argument, TJ. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't make it, but I could see where you could maybe go there.
My bad on Caleb Williams, man. I didn't mean that. I didn't.
That's all good. It's all good. My whole point was they got rid of him when they were on the ascent for
Yep.
first time since probably the 85 or 86 season or
Since
something.
the Super Bowl shuffle.
Yeah, exactly. Since the Super Bowl shuffle.
Hey,
The Fridge Perry.
They were finally, kind of climbing, and they just decided, you know what, we're doing too well. Why don't we just get rid of this guy back to being at the bottom? Whatever. I mean, you did it. Now you've been suffering ever since. Good. I'm glad you're hurting. My number 2 was the Tony Dungy one. I don't really say a whole lot about that because I love the way that Odge laid out, the circumstances, the outcome, and just the complete stupidity in getting rid of him. I just thought it was just awful.
So bad.
Mhm.
It was so bad.
And my number 1 was the one that Greg originally said was going to be his only one. And that's Jimmy Johnson. That just seemed absolutely criminal to come on 2 Super Bowls
Back to back.
I didn't hear you.
93 and 94.
I've ever seen in sports.
Yeah.
It literally is the dumbest.
Yeah, it was literally just an ego thing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, that's literally shooting yourself in the foot.
Ain't been shit since.
That is the way that they roll. That is Jerry Jones.
They did win one after he left. So that's his.
Well, that was the team that he built, architect.
Hey man, I'm just calling balls and strikes.
I'm not even a Cowboy fan, and I'm like, come on, man.
I'm just calling balls and strikes.
Yeah, I mean, but that speaks to how strong of a culture that he had built there. The fact that it was able to last even like a couple years beyond his tenure, his shortened tenure for no real football reasons. I just thought it's proven to be what I think is the worst firing of all time when it comes to
that was
absolutely.
I said he would have been Bill Belichick. They'd have been talking about. He was
Belichick before Belichick. Yeah,
better than this guy ever.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna jump in. So my honorable mention for this, I normally don't have one, but I felt like being messy to insert this other guy into the lineup here. So my number 4 is Teresa Witherspoon, right? Chicago Sky WNBA. Legendary teaspoon, fired after 1 season, got not 1 but 2 top rookies. A former rookie that was a star that became a star under her again, and Kennedy Carter. They all loved the coach. They were all thriving under her leadership, right? Teams starting to turn corners, injuries happen. You fire her after 1 season. She just started. And now, today in a press conference, they couldn't even explain why they fired her. They literally had no answer. And I just thought that if you're going to hire somebody once again as a head coach, you got to give them a chance to see it through. If I'm hiring you, I should be hiring you for not today, but for where are we going to be in a couple years? And after 1 year, unless it was an absolute disaster on something like Nathaniel Hackett, you shouldn't be firing a person. So all that to say, teaspoon, keep your head up. That's my honorable mention. And to think she left her post at the New Orleans Pelicans for that, shameful. My number 3, Adrian Griffin with the Milwaukee Bucks. I like getting messy here. Doc Rivers.
I don't know
You
about
know
that,
why?
brother. I don't know about
Listen,
that, brother. I
he had him.
understand though.
He had him 30
I
and
don't,
13. 30 and 13.
yeah,
He had
brother.
him winning. He had Dame Lillard playing some of the best ball of his career,
Brother.
right? On a team that was winning. And you get rid of this guy for Doc Rivers. And they get a first
Doc
round
Rivers.
exit for their troubles.
You
I
can't
don't
even hear
understand it.
motivational speeches in there. That fucked up voice.
I don't know.
Like
Hey,
you listen, he's
hold on
30.
a
The
second.
only
Hold on a second, man. I'm just gonna step in. Yo, Katz was saying he didn't know what he was doing, man. That's all I was saying. Katz was saying he didn't know what he was doing at all. And there
he
was
was 30 and
I'll tell
13.
you
And
how.
when Doc
I,
Rivers took over, they lost
I,
double-digit games and
I'll tell
like
you.
11 out of 13. So
I
I don't know.
understand, but for Giannis non-talking ass to be like, no, he must go. I mean, like, it's just,
Listen, listen, David Black that used to coach the Cavs, didn't they go to I mean, wasn't he 30 and 11 when he got fired? And the year before that,
David
he
Blatt was
made the
bad.
finals. I
He was
mean, you know.
Like,
It's
all I'm saying is Doc Rivers shouldn't have been hired there.
no.
Like he snaked his way into that locker room. From what I hear,
From what you heard, we all heard it. We all heard
from
his
what I hear,
analysis.
not Blake
he was
Falk.
just like, oh, you know, the really first job.
If I coach that team, let me tell you how it's gonna be. It's gonna be a great team. I was Doc Rivers. Like, come on, man. What we doing?
Who's
But
got two thumbs to ruin Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons ruined Ben Simmons. That's who.
Ben Simmons, the comeback tour is never coming to you. So here we are. My other two have already been mentioned. My number two is Tony Dungy. Aj once again broke it down eloquently. But that should have never happened. And shout out to Dungy for going on to win a title with the Colts in spite of Peyton Manning. But with all that said, we're gonna leave that alone for now. Another show. Jimmy Johnson is number one, right? So anybody that knows me, I'm a big Miami Hurricane fan for college football. When he left, I hated it because he didn't just leave for anybody. He left for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think Jerry Jones had already kind of unceremoniously fired, what is he did? Tech Scram, or was it the other guy, Landry? Somebody flew out to the ranch and fired him. Yeah.
Landry, legendary.
Legendary coach, right? And so you get another coach who's going to be legendary in Jimmy Johnson, who goes on to build this winning culture. And the thing I always liked about him is that he's such a passionate, fiery guy. He's one of those guys when he gets going, you feel like you might drop what you're doing and go play for him. You know, you like that kind of thing. And so he won 2 Super Bowls, right? And then after the second Super Bowl, that's it. Like you said, the ego thing never sat right with me. The fact that he refused to induct him into the Ring of Honor was even further petty, you know. And I just said, you know what? Jerry Jones is an owner. He's a scumbag for that, yo. Like this guy sitting on TV clearly hurt, right? And to the point where he even figured out he was getting inducted to the Cowboys Ring of Honor. The tears, then the emotion that came over him, you could see it was like confusion, right? On a number of levels. And I hated that for him because Jimmy Johnson is one of the greatest coaches of all time in any sport. And it's just, you don't get that guy often, right?
Nope.
I don't understand it.
Cut short.
Say that again.
That what could have been one of the greatest careers ever cut short.
Exactly. You saw what happened with Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer snuck in there and got one, and then after that, went down. So, yeah, that's my top three. But yeah,
why he didn't make the list is because they won the championship, and that was Udoka.
Oh yeah. Udoka is honorable mention for sure.
I don't think that was a bad firing.
Hey, look, man.
He had to go. He had to go. He was
living like Jay-Z, man. Can't keep a little model hands off me. It's not his fault. It's not his fault.
But what makes it a bad firing is if they let all that stuff get out in the public.
Yeah.
And Boston did that. He didn't do that.
Boston did that. You have to fire him.
Yeah.
To quote,
they're the ones who put it out there.
Right.
To quote Udoka's entry back into the league at Houston, when asked the question, "Why did you get fired?" Well, I be fucking. I don't know how to say. I be fucking. He didn't say none of that. That's all.
That's awesome.
Called that man Clarence Carter. He be out there.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah, be stuck in.
Like, I be fucking. I don't know what you want me to. I don't know what you want me to
No, that's certainly one of the most
say.
honest firings though, yo. Like I still remember when that happened. I was like, wait, what happened? And then it just kept leaking and leaking. Then they had the oddball press conferences, and I'm just like, yeah, this is why I
Yeah,
hate Boston.
it was
But no,
bad the way they did it. Too many innocent bystanders, man. They could have kept that under the wraps. Too many innocent
easily, easily.
bystanders.
It felt like a bad
Somebody-
episode. You ever saw the show back in the day before the NFL had it canceled called ESPN Players or something like that? One of the
Playmakers.
playmakers. Yeah,
Yeah.
that joint. Yeah, it was a little too real. So they
Yeah.
didn't want that to go.
He's rolling along. What?
Like, oh, you didn't know the players and the coaches be doing what? Yeah, no. But anyways, no, that was a great list there, right? And so to roll into our final topic of the day, Pete Rose, right? So Pete Rose died recently, and you know anything about Pete Rose? Pete Rose never made the Hall of Fame. He was
Nope.
gambling on the game. And I think all sports today have started to kind of ingratiate gambling into a lot of their marketing and a lot of their brands. And I just had to ask this question. Should athletes be allowed to gamble on sports while they're an active player? What are your thoughts there?
Is this a free for all?
Absolutely not. They shouldn't be
Say that.
allowed. No.
I know the answer to this, but this is just a great discussion.
Like, there's no way in hell you should be allowed to gamble and be part of the game. That's nuts.
No, this is why. Listen,
You know how many
if you
horrible things could happen?
Will have.
if you want sports to go to the next level, just when you thought the game couldn't get any more exciting,
Bruh.
wait until you get a cornerback betting, hey, I bet you I gonna give up a touchdown. Hey, put 200 and I'm gonna give up three this game. He gives
Yep.
up three tutties.
Well, you know what? Somebody's a billionaire who went 0-16, and you gotta
Exactly.
and you go sit there like, what happened?
But you know why I bring up the topic, right? So, in all sincerity, Brian Flores lawsuit, right? One of the things that came out of that, right? Why he's back working again. The Dolphins owner, who also owns Equinox and Soul Cycle and a few other things, right? Was paying him to lose. To me,
Yeah.
there's a form of gambling in that because you are intentionally tanking, and I don't know too many teams that are just going to pay a guy to lose, right? Why are you paying him to lose, right? You could just say, hey,
That's an
maybe
honorable
not.
mention for the bad firings too, because although
Yeah,
Brian Flores was killing Tua's confidence, he was strong in the pocket, mind you.
yeah, yeah.
That he's, I believe that he's the defensive coordinator up in Minnesota, and people are giving props
He
all
is.
up. Yeah, and he's got
And
Van
he
Ginkel
went under
up there.
Tomlin. He went under Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin got him back together,
Yeah,
bridged the gap.
Way to look out, Mike.
yeah.
He always looks out. But I don't know. So I feel 50-50 about it. Would it cause chaos? Absolutely, right?
It
But
would be monstrous. You can't allow it. I'm sorry.
yeah,
It'd be terrible.
I think the problem is that you have to have integrity tied to
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
One of
Man.
the one
But
of
is
the
there
weird,
integrity in the game though? Like,
well,
would
well,
you
well,
really think?
one of the weird reasons why I think that the NBA suffered a little bit. It wasn't necessarily because of Donahue, but it was because conspiracy theorists just were convinced that certain teams were certain players were geared to win. Like
Right.
I remember when LeBron was on his run, people were like, "Well, yeah, it's fixed." I'm like, "You can't fix a jump shot, dude. That's not how that works. That's not."
No, you can't.
Like
You can't.
you can't. Like the only game that I ever saw in the NBA where I was positive that it was fixed was the Lakers versus Sacramento. That's the only one where I was like, yeah, that shit was Game 6. That was absolutely there's no other way. Like anybody who saw that was like, yo, whoa, how can you explain that? There's no
You
other
want to
way
see
to
a
explain
15-point lead disappear? Revelio. Oh,
that. That was the only way to explain. This literally was the only way to explain that is that someone had money on it.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
That's the only way to explain that.
That
Sacramento. Look it up, kids. Anyway, but
Now, I
other
couldn't even deny that, yo, and I'm a Lakers fan. I was watching that game. I was like, yeah,
none of us
no,
can deny it. Nobody can deny that. Only
that
someone
was
is
bad.
only one someone as insane as
Somebody,
Kobe
yeah.
would deny that.
Somebody
Like we would have got him in the end. Huh?
Somebody got their tuition paid that day.
Yes, they did.
They got more
Yes,
than
they
that.
did.
That was
Yes, they did.
And
that
that's
was
the
crazy.
Imagine the players. Like it don't even sound right, bro. And
but here's the thing.
Because here's the thing. I don't believe it'll be like the superstars doing it.
No.
Because they're gonna be fine financially. It's the dudes on the bench. You got like 3-4 baby mamas. They come in the game and they can, those are the people that are ruining the game.
This happened with Porter Jr.'s brother. Porter Jr.'s brother got caught gambling, and they put him on the, he's pretty much done out here. I think he might have even gone. But I mean, like, you can't impede the integrity of the game, because that makes it it's like, well, it's professional wrestling. Then it's like there's no need for people to watch unless you get into that, like, professional wrestling, and they can't. You're far gone at that point to do something like that.
Yeah, my answer is,
it's the equivalent of insider trading, man. It just
exactly
can't let it happen.
Exactly.
Go ahead, T.
That's exactly why I say no. It's because you don't have to be betting on your own team or anything like that. But these guys have access to so much more information than regular bettors do. Like, you don't have to bet on your own game. I mean, what Michael Jordan and David Jeter are hanging out, so he knows that, this person's got an issue with their ankle, but the press doesn't. I mean, there's just so many advantages
That's a good point.
they have in regards to gambling that other people wouldn't. That it's, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say it's a can't lose, but come on, man. I mean, the word that Greg used, insider trading, it's exactly that. They have all the information. They have all.
Do beat writers even gamble? Do beat writers even get a chance to put? Are they even allowed to put money on stuff?
I don't know. They might be able to.
I think now you can, but you as a player you can't. So the DraftKings and all the other stuff, there's some interesting rules around that for people closely associated with the game. But I think if you're not on a team, don't fully quote me. I'll get it by next show, but I think you can do it.
Okay. I mean, like, there's way too much inside information. It don't even gotta be history. It could be like, hey, what's his name's kid suspiciously looks like his teammate. Like, and that kind of the rules the whole kid of the whole team. It's that kind of stuff. Like, I didn't know.
Next again.
Like, I didn't even know what's his name was married to a black chick. It's like, no, he's not.
Nash. Nash. Oh,
that's his kid.
Hey, man. Hey, chill,
God. Nash and Richardson, and that was crazy.
It looks a lot like Trae Young. The kid looks mixed. That beige skin and wild hair doesn't.
I'm saying that. What I'm saying to you, Jim, is that as long as these sausages.
But all of that.
So many things that they can factor in to ruin the whole integrity of the sport.
Me, myself, and I will live forever.
And before we move on past Charles, past this, Pete Rose has got the second greatest nickname in sports.
It's a great nickname.
Charlie Hustle is super dope.
Tough.
Oh yeah.
The greatest one ever is Magic Johnson. Second best ever, Charlie Hustle.
Can't beat it. Charlie Hustle was there.
I would have gone LT, but
LT, Lieutenant.
It doesn't matter. It's a joke. Anyway, carry on. I'm sorry.
So the way for me on this topic is that should it be allowed? Absolutely not. But would I love to see it? Yes, I would. The chaos, right? I'd actually like to see it in a controlled environment, right? Here's why. So did you know Pete Rose was here's why, seriously. Did you know Pete Rose was gambling on baseball when it happened? None of us knew. We didn't know. At the time, we didn't know. We just knew this motherfucker gets a lot of hits. He's doing his thing. The kid in Atlanta that got like suspended or whatever. I think one of the receivers, is it not Ridley? Was it Calvin Ridley?
Ridley, yes.
Yeah. Again, there's some Greg and T's point, Stan. Yes, horrible for the integrity of the game. The insider trading is super accurate. But I'd be interested to see the motivations of the players and how that would change if it were to be allowed to happen.
I said, for the super duper stars, I don't think it changes much.
No, LeBron's not going to need to gamble in the game. It's not going to be that way. It's for the guys on the
that eighth man on the bench who's got.
That's my point.
Who's got some rent problems?
Yeah,
because he's trying to hang out with the superstars, and he's dating some rapper. Can't keep up. Yeah, things are bad.
Crazy.
Like if you're in a Nick Young situation, or your girl's way more popular than you, and you.
Nick Young gonna be all right.
You gotta get your Tim's up.
Nick Young gonna be all right. Young's gonna be all right. He's always gonna be all right. That dude's always gonna be able to make money.
And I love Nick Young too.
He's
You know what,
always
Nick
gonna
Young,
be
that's
able to
a good
make
dude. If Nick Young was playing in this era, his stats would be way
Oh yeah,
better.
he'd be really
Oh,
nasty.
right now? Yeah. He'd be better
Oh,
now. Yeah.
so
Man,
nasty.
the man Gilbert Arenas. Oh Lord, playing in this
Oh,
era.
Gilbert without the injuries was still gonna be a killer. Them injuries took him down.
Baron Davis without injuries would have been.
Oh yeah.
Actually, bring up. Like, that's another topic we need to cover. Like best people who's they got injured out of the game. Because I know who the player is.
Yeah,
so they wouldn't get hurt. That's Penny.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
If Penny don't get hurt, that's
It's Grant for me, gentlemen. Penny second.
Penny got him.
Brandon Roy, Grant Hill. There's so many that were cold. Yeah.
Who was that kid they made the documentary on where he had he actually got killed before he got drafted?
Talking about Benny?
Yeah.
Talking about Benny, out of Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Benny was nice.
And Lim Bias. Lim Bias.
The Coke. Yeah.
If Lim Bias survives, I don't think Mike got 6 rings, bro.
Draws and Petrovic.
I don't know. I wanted to see that.
Always Draws and Petrovic.
But real talk, imagine if Lim Bias lived. You got a team with Larry Bird, Lim Bias, and Kevin McHale.
That's unbeatable. That's unbeatable.
Maybe Michael has the LeBron career then at that point.
2 rings.
You know what? I think the bad boys still beat him. And that way, everybody sees why Isaiah is ahead of Kobe on my all-time list.
No, but I think Isaiah should be, though. He's way underrated.
There's a lot of people who think that's a crazy thing to say. I don't want to get into that.
Another show. I'm going to make you get into it. We're going to do it.
Okay.
Wait a minute. That escalated way too quickly. Greg, your point.
I was saying, we need to do that topic. There's a whole lot of woulda, shoulda, couldas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can and Bowie in that list if you want to.
Yeah, Bowie was not bad. He was good. He was good. We just don't look at him and review him that way because of the players that came out at that time. But
Greg Oden.
Well, it's like Greg Oden. He never even got a shot.
Chicago.
Oden was elite. He was elite defensively too. Like Oden, even in the pros, the few times that he played, he was for real.
He would have been defensively what Wemby is like back then. He would have been like the next.
Zion Williamson's going to be on that list pretty soon, man.
Bo Jackson.
I think Zion finally got it together, man.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Bo. Ooh wee.
They'll say it.
You know what's nuts about Bo Jackson? Let's just be honest. Football was his hobby. Like he wasn't even there most of the time. Like he came in like the 3rd week or something like that.
Usually, yeah.
Like he didn't have training camp or nothing. He just hung up his cleats, his baseball cleats, snug ass Royals uniform they used to make him wear.
That was a dope uniform too. Man.
Sorry. And then he just go out there and casually truck grown ass men.
Like it was nothing. Yo, hit stick automatic.
It's like he didn't
automatic.
Even have time to play for him. And they're like, oh, good, he showed up. Hey, your uniform's over there. What are we gonna do? We're just gonna give you the ball and let you do what you do, Bo. Like, imagine if he was solely focused on football.
Oh yeah.
Good God.
I mean, if he did that, then he wouldn't be Bo Jackson. I'm sorry, TJ. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I got a weird one for you guys. Even though he was with a 50-0 or 51-0, Floyd, if he hadn't hurt his hands, I wonder if he would have been a different fighter.
He wouldn't have been 50-0. He would have been
the same fighter with probably like a couple more knockouts.
He wouldn't have been 50-0.
I'm just
the reason why Floyd turned into when he went Pretty Boy Floyd, it wasn't because of I mean his hands had a little bit to do with it, but his uncle told him to switch the style up a little bit and be more defensive and legendary, so he said so he could live.
I think that adapted. He adapted.
So he still would have been the same Floyd he is now, just a couple more knockouts. He probably throwing the punches a little bit harder and everything else.
He adapted for those reasons because he was an absolute warrior. I think he would have lost a couple more fights.
You think so?
He wouldn't have lost. He wouldn't have lost those fights because he changed up.
No, he would have lost a couple fights.
Regardless.
Wait, hold on, let him cook. Which ones you think he would have lost?
I mean, he probably would have lost to Shane Mosley if he fought the old way that he used to fight. He probably would have lost.
Mosley was a little older.
But also you got to understand, Floyd also was fighting people a lot earlier too. He would have fought.
But what you just
I think he always would have beat Pacquiao. I don't think he would have not beaten Pacquiao. I think he might have lost to Miguel Cotto because Miguel Cotto was willing to get. You have to rewatch that fight because Miguel Cotto is willing to get hit 5 times and hit you once, and those are the type of dudes that Floyd can't really.
That's a good point.
Like I said, Floyd changed his style up regardless. He's going to change his style up because his uncle made him.
I think that all that was partially to do because his hands were brittle.
I don't think so. I think it was mapped out the smartest way that they knew how to keep him.
I mean, you do your thing and I'll do mine.
The funny thing about Floyd, though, I remember people saying he had like pillow hands and his hits don't hurt, but every fight I would watch, people after a certain round stopped coming forward. So I felt like he had something on those punches that were coming still, even with the better hand.
The people that fought him. The only people that were saying that crazy shit was the people that was watching the fights.
Correct.
I ain't heard one person that's gotten in the ring with Floyd and been like, yeah, his punches were nothing. I've never heard.
Because I remember Pacquiao at one point.
Yeah, they've been hit harder, definitely, but they said it ain't soft.
Well, Shane Mosley's never been knocked down from what I can remember, and that dude stopped.
Oh, no, he's been knocked down.
Yeah.
Vernon Forrester put him on his back.
Yeah, fair enough. But Shane never went back. Shane rarely, if ever, went backwards, and he stopped coming forward. I remember that very distinctly.
Yeah. Well, he knocked the perm out of Shane.
That's not right.
Yeah, he did hit him.
I think Floyd was angry at that point because I remember I was in Brooklyn at that time, and I'm watching the fight with some cats in the kitchen, and everybody thought the same thing. Wait, is this the moment it's about to happen? Because he got caught, and then once he got his legs back.
Yeah,
Floyd went to work. And it was a performance.
About this. He was upset with Shane. He was like, he shouldn't have gone out like that. I was like, bro, what else was he gonna do? What else was he gonna do? He was in there confused.
Yeah, they convinced me, Antoine.
From round 3 on.
He went Matrix mode, man. He was like. He was hitting Shane so fast. Shane was like, "Hey, what? Hey!" It was like every time he got hit, it was like
he looked at the referee at one point, like, "What is this?"
Yeah, that's a real statement. That's when I knew the fight was over. Round 5, Floyd caught him twice with 2 quick ones. Bop bop. He looked over his corner like, "Hey, hey, y'all got a scheme."
He was fighting like he was in a press conference.
He didn't look over anywhere for help. He was like, "Hey. Y'all watching this? Okay.
Greg, he got hit. He was like, next question. You got hit again. He was like, that's a bad question. Next question.
Yeah.
Next question. Hey.
And the only people that tagged him harder was the court system.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch indeed. That's the worst L he's ever took. They can never match what happened to him in the ring. God,
enough slander. No more slander on Sugar, man.
I'll say real quick, a fight that I wanted to see, though, was a younger Oscar De La Hoya versus Pacquiao, because I think a younger De La Hoya beats him.
I know a younger De La Hoya beats Pacquiao. No, wait a
Yeah.
minute. Maybe not.
I don't know. A younger one?
Pacquiao's a problem. I can't.
Just because he can't beat Mayweather doesn't mean Pacquiao was.
Yeah.
Pacquiao was great. He's still great.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it'd be a better fight, but I don't know if he like if De La Hoya still wins.
The fact that Pacquiao could even fight De La Hoya at his weight in any weight class is crazy. He started off at like 118 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, he was a little dude. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, TJ?
Because he finally got enough money to move to a place where they had milk, so he put on some weight.
I was thinking about some of the great Mexican boxers that Pacquiao fought when he was young, like Barrera and Morales.
Yeah, Morales.
De La Hoya, and how the similarities he had to them in styles. He wasn't exactly the same as he had a little more, I guess, boxer to him.
Yep.
At times.
Pacquiao?
No, De La Hoya, when he wasn't in like full warrior mode, he was a boxer too. So that would be a good fight. I'm curious. That's a really good. That's a really good.
He was a problem. I think people forget he was really good.
But Pacquiao was.
Yeah.
Pacquiao does that weird
And the reason why I'm saying that
three-punch
is
combo.
I
Yeah.
remember when
Wait, is that we talking about
Crazy.
Pacquiao that might have been on the juice though, or Pacquiao that was forced to nah, go ahead.
that wasn't the juice. The man finally got nutrition. He moved out of
Oh,
that third world hut he was in.
I don't know if people notice this or not, but Pacquiao's legs are humongous.
yeah,
Like,
they
that's,
are.
that's where all his power is
Abs are
coming.
like this big around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his calves are
yeah,
humongous. That's where all
yeah.
his power is coming from.
But yeah, this is why I say that maybe De La Hoya still doesn't beat him, because when De La Hoya was still like before he was getting old, who was the Puerto Rican kid?
Odo?
No, not
Miguel?
Cotto.
Trinidad.
Tito.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
Felix Trinidad. Yeah.
Yeah. If Trinidad stays on De La Hoya's back that whole fight, he wins that fight easy. He was beating
He lost to him technically, but he beat Trinidad. He just stopped fighting after like 6 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that kind of stuff right there where it makes me think that he could not, maybe Pacquiao still wins even when he was in that mode. Because if he ran a little bit, he definitely would run away from Pacquiao, and Pacquiao is way more aggressive than Felix Trinidad.
He is, but the reason I always mention Pacquiao with the juice, right? There was a fight, one of those fights with Juan Manuel Marquez, where Marquez hits him flush, like right here, like a few times, and it was like nothing ever happened.
Mhm.
And I know fighters are accustomed to getting hit, but the way that he came forward, I was like, I've never seen nothing like. He just did not react. And then when he finally gets knocked out, he takes a nap. Okay, he's out so hard. I thought he was dead. I said, "Yo, this guy is not moving."
Marquez beat up a lot for that fight.
Yeah,
he beat up a lot for that fight.
I blame Mitt Romney for that.
You say Mitt Romney? Is that what you said?
I blame Mitt Romney for that.
Nice. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Old Mittens.
Mitts.
Old Mittens.
But Pacquiao, you just sleeping on how tough he was. He was out there. They were literally eating pets.
So end it, Antoine. End it, Antoine.
So listen, with all the bad intentions, I say we're gonna move on.
I know y'all heard that story before about Pacquiao growing up and he had to eat his dog.
So anyhow, listen, we appreciate you for tuning in to our Wash episode here, Takeoff Sports Talk. It's your host, Smallwood Worldwide. That's Greg, T, and Aj. Once again, we appreciate you having. In all things being fair, guess what? It could be worse. You could be a Jet. You could be playing for Woody Johnson, but you're not. You're probably playing for a winning team. We'll see you on our next episode. Peace.
Woody Johnson, I just got it.